And pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome to Talk Show Presents. My name is Keith Williams. I am your host. And today, we'd like to present to you a commentary on the Alabama Democratic Party. Now, I want to drop some disclaimers in your ear, okay? First of all, my opinion is just that. It's my opinion, and it does not reflect the opinions of everyone else, including the Australian broadcast section. So again, this is my opinion about the state of the Alabama Democratic Party. And I will be talking about some things that I have observed and some things that was brought up from what I have observed. And I will also show you newspaper articles that kind of escalated what I have been saying for months. So that's pretty much what this program, is about. It's a very controversial topic. It is a topic that no one's really talking about because they're scared as hell. And I will get into that in a moment. I know that when I start posting this on various social media platforms and other podcast platforms, that I'm going to get a lot of flap. And also going to get some praises, some criticism. A lot of people are going to come after me. I don't care. I think it's about time that someone had the guts to say something. And so here I am trying to present to you my thoughts and my commentary on the Alabama Democratic Party. Let me just say that for starters, Alabama Democratic Party is on life support. Why do I say that? So for a very long time, Democratic candidates in the state of Alabama that are running for office have received absolutely no help and no support from the ADP. As a matter of fact, there has been a considerable amount of interference from the Alabama Democratic Conference, which is headed by Joe Reed. And Joe Reed for years have been the main influencer in the Democratic Party in the state of Alabama. In the past, he has done a lot of great work in helping to get Democrats elected, especially those of African-American descent. But in recent years, Joe Reed has become not only money hungry, but also power hungry. On August 13th, 2022 was an example of this. But before I go there, I want to point out that 4 years ago, around the same time, 4 years ago, the Democratic National Committee had discovered after their investigation that the election for officers in the Alabama Democratic Party was considered to be invalid and that their bylaws was outdated. And so with that, the Alabama Democratic Party and the Alabama State Democratic Executive Committee had to rewrite their bylaws. And in these bylaws, several caucuses were established. So you have besides the African American caucus, which for years has been the only caucus in the ADP. And so with the design of the new bylaws, they had to include these other caucuses, such as the Disability Caucus, the Native American Pacific Islander Conference, the Youth Caucus, the LGBTQ caucus, and the Hispanic Caucus. So those basically are some examples of the caucuses that was in place, but the Disability Caucus was the only caucus that was not in place in 2018. Myself and several other individuals who one point or another have been diagnosed with a physical or mental disability had fought the Alabama Democratic Party in making sure that this caucus was added to the list of at-large members of the ADC. After a 4-year battle, that has taken place. And with that, there has been lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits trying to uphold the election. For example, Nancy Worley, the late Nancy Worley was supposedly being reelected in 2018 through the influence of Joe Reed. But because there was some discrepancies in the election had to be redone over again. And that it was alleged that Joe Reed had paid off and his companions had influenced a judge to uphold the present election. But through the maneuvers of the grassroots community, the Alabama Court of Appeals had overturned the election results, saying that it was invalid, and the Democratic National Committee agreed. And so with that, they had to redo their bylaws, and the election has to be redone. And so with that, the late Nancy Worley and the 2014, 2018 vice chair were voted out. With the establishment of the new caucuses, they had enough members of the SDC to vote the two of them out, which Joe Reed did not like, and he vowed to take control over the Alabama Democratic Party. Now we come to 4 years later in 2022, August 13th, 2022, the SDC have met in Birmingham at the Birmingham Jefferson County Convention Complex. It was probably one of the worst meetings I've ever been in my political career. What I saw was astronomically terrible. In this election, we discovered that one of Joe Reed's forerunners, Randall Kelly, was elected to be the chairperson of the Alabama Democratic Party. Now, we know that, in my opinion, that Randall Kelly is a Joe Reed puppet, and that the Alabama Democratic Conference have been trying for years to gain a foothold in the ADP. On that particular day, their efforts were successful. I do want to note that Tabitha Eisner was elected as vice chair of the Alabama Democratic Party. A person not very liked by Joe Reed. So I assume that Kelly and Eisner are going to be bumping heads. Now, prior to this August 13th meeting, I put out on blast on social media, and I still believe this to this day, that Joe Reed, anyone who's associated with him, should be censored and banned. His whole argument is that he felt that African Americans was losing power in the Democratic Party, which is not true. It has always been, according to the formula that was designed by the DNC, that at least 51% of the members of the State Democratic Executive Committee be African American. That is still hold true today, even with the various caucuses that was established 4 years ago, that the majority of the SDC is still African American. So I don't know where he's going with that. I definitely do not agree with that. That is a lie. It is alleged that he is trying to take complete control of the Alabama Democratic Party. And not to mention the fact that you have a lot of elders who are members of the SDC from, in my opinion, does not even want young people such as myself to be a part of the SDC or to be part of the Alabama Democratic Party, period. They basically call us children. Well, Keith, how do you know? Because I was there. I sat through that meeting the whole day, and my anxiety was through the roof. As a matter of fact, I was elected legally and finally by the body of the Alabama Democratic Party to serve as an at-large member of the SDC representing the Disability Caucus. That position was taken away from me because somehow Joe Reed had managed to get people from his group, who he is chair of the African American Caucus, to join the Disability Caucus. And so that the window seats, the window at large seats. And I don't believe that if you are a member of the SDC that you should serve in more than one caucus. I do not agree with that. I stand behind that, and I still believe that Joe Reed and anyone who is associated with them should be censored and banned from the Democratic Party of the state of Alabama. And if I had to go to the DNC to do that, I will. I feel that he has outlived his purpose, as well as all the other, elders that are over 60 who have served many years in the Alabama Democratic Party. I truly believe that they should pass the baton and let the younger people have it. But they don't want us to have it. They don't want us to have any type of power at all. And in a moment, I'm gonna show you why. And so with that announcement or comment that I made, I got a virtual visit from Tabitha Isaac, and we battled it out for nearly 2 hours. Now, we did come to some mutual understanding, as far as the direction of the Alabama Democratic Party. But I still say to this day that Joe Reed and anyone that's connected to him should be censored and banned. Right now, the Alabama Democratic Party is practically broke. They have no money. They started a campaign to fundraise, but no one is giving them any money. No one is giving them any support because they do not agree with the leadership that is in place, particularly Joe Reed's puppet and minion, Randall Kelly. And so with that, you found a lot of people no longer supporting the Alabama Democratic Party. But the good news is that the 67 county Democratic executive committees have been the forerunner in supporting Democratic candidates. And I myself, on the other hand, for example, have presented a blog series known as Those Damn Spotlights back in early June. But a couple of Democratic candidates called me and said, Keith, we got to do something. We're not getting any monetary donations, no support, no nothing whatsoever. I mean, I got quite a bit of calls or correspondence, as you will, saying, what can be done, to help uplift these candidates. And so that's where the blog series, Those Damn Spotlights, came into being. And because of that blog, and I spreaded those blogs all over social media, and it was basically like maybe 10, 11, or 12. I'll say between 10 and 12 different blogs, and it broke down all the offices, U.S. Senate, U.S. House of Representatives, State Senate, State House of Representatives, so on and so forth. And it took me a while to do all of the research to put those blogs together. And I did. And those blogs had more information than what AL.com put out a few days up leading to the primary election day for 2022. And those blogs actually went viral. Shout out to all of those who helped me distribute those blogs to the various county Democratic pages. Really appreciate that. And so we're going to have a part 2. So there's going to be a part 2 of those damn spotlights in which we will highlight the Democratic candidates in the state of Alabama that have won their primaries. And I do want to add that because of the first series of blogs, that some of the campaigns, such as Yolanda Flowers and Dr. William Boyd, has been elevated, as well as state legislator candidates like Pamela Wiseman Howard and Lisa Ward, also have been elevated because of the information that was put out by me. This, again, was a public service of the Australia Broadcast Section and Voters Legal Justice Watch Group. Again, one of the things that we do is that we promote voter education. We get information out about the candidates. We get information out about the voting process, the political process, and we do various of other activities that center around that. And so these two have been in partnership for the last 4 years to educate, inform, enlighten, and encouraging people to not only vote, but to participate in the political process and hold people accountable. But I do not agree with the leadership that we have today. And because of that, Alabama Democratic Party has no direction and no focus, and they're really not helping anybody. They haven't been helping anybody for the last 2 election cycles. For example, in 2018, we had the most prominent slate of Democratic candidates in the history of this state. No support. They was practically on their own. And now we're here in 2022, and the cycle repeats itself. They have no money. And then at one time, the website, was down. And I heard that operations of the Alabama Democratic Party has been taken over by the Alabama Democratic Conference, which in turn is not recognized by the DNC as the prominent face of the Alabama Democratic Party. The Alabama Democratic Party is only recognized by the DNC as the formal and official representation of the Democratic Party. So we got problems here. And at that meeting, there was so many tempers flared. People were dealing with anxiety. I know I was one of them. And I nearly had panic attacks. It was just absolutely terrible the way that that these folks, the elder members of the SDC or the ADP or the ADC or whatever you want to, you ever want to, they treat us real bad. They treat us like dirt. They treat us like trash. Like we were just yesterday's news. Like, we don't know what we're talking about. It's just absolutely crazy the way that they had treated us. And finally I said, I had enough. And I left. But rest assured, I will continue to support Democrats. And the fact of the matter is that an at-large SDC seat was taken away from me. which I still claim to this day. I still claim hold to being a member of the Alabama Democratic Party Disability Caucus, despite the fact that an at-large SDC was taken away from me, even though I was duly and legally elected according to the bylaws of the Alabama Democratic Party. I would fight that tooth and nail. So y'all can come after me all you want. I'll be ready. So that's pretty much a summary of what's been happening. Now we're going to take you to some things that have happened in most recently. Okay. So I pulled up some articles here. And let me just close some. I pulled up some articles here. Like for example, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Alabama Democratic Conference that took place October 15th and 16th in Montgomery. Now, that was a real mess right there. I didn't attend and didn't want to attend, but didn't want to attend. But listen to that. Let's see if I can pull it up. Give me a while. Okay, I'm having a little trouble playing this. So basically, Joe Reed and Randall Kelly is trying to change some of the things in the bylaws that was overseen by the DNC. And one of the things that they're trying to do is basically get rid of the caucuses and like turn them to different committees. Yeah, it's trying to play. I don't know how it's trying to play. I don't know how far I'm going to get with that. Probably because it's too many ads. Probably too many ads playing on. So we're gonna try again. Not gonna. So looks like I'm not gonna be able to. And that they have been accused of submitting these changes before the SDC. They was kind of late with that. They didn't give them an adequate notice of these changes. So a lot of people didn't have an opportunity to read. And So here's the thing about that. Joe Reed keeps saying that he's talking about we need more African American representation in the Democratic Party. That's what his argument is. But the thing is, you want to get rid of these various caucuses that was designed, in 2018, so that other, people of other demographics would have an opportunity, to serve. DNC is not going to be very happy about that if these changes was made. And so this was the meeting that took place on, October the 15th, and a lot of people walked out. So they didn't have a quorum, and they didn't have enough people to vote on this measure, so they could not vote on this measure. And I stand in solidarity with them. I am glad that they have left, because what they're trying to do is that they're trying to undermine, and at a lot of these caucuses, you have a lot of young people. They are part of these caucuses, and by doing away with these caucuses, you're not going to have a lot of young people serving in the SDC, and that kind of upset a lot of people. Not to mention that some people did not get proper notice. But here is this whole, idea that African American members are being dwindled. That's a lie. I mean, in each one of the different caucuses, you have African American representation. Also, too, and this is, again, I do not agree with, is that you have members of one caucus joining multiple caucuses. I do not agree with that, because you're dwindling the chance that additional people will be able to serve. And if that's the case, you're not going to have a lot of representation, of youth anyway. But if you let the caucuses stay in place, there is an opportunity for more African Americans to serve. I don't know why Joe Reed does not, see that this is nothing but a code word, or code phrase rather, for the Alabama Democratic Conference to gain more power, and for him and Kelly to decide who would serve and who cannot serve. And that's not how it works. According to the bylaws, proper notice must be given at least 10 days in advance on vote on changes, and an official quorum is needed. None of those were achieved. And so they was not able to conduct business. Again, I do not support these changes. I think they need to leave it exactly what it is. And I have a feeling that if these changes are being made, one or two things are going to happen. Number one, there might not ever be a vote on this, because every time it comes up, there's not going to be a quorum, so they're not going to be able to do business anyway. Second of all, if it does succeed, we're going to have the DNC on our backs again. And I don't think that they're going to treat this thing like. I think that the penalties are going to be harsh. And again, I do recommend that Joe Reed and Randall Kelly be not only censored and banned from the Alabama Democratic Party, because I feel that they are a detrimental liability to the party. And we're not going to get anywhere as a party as long as that continues to happen. So that's that. But there's more. Let's look at this article from the Alabama Political Reporter.
Yes, ma'am. I was trying
to survive, the Alabama Democratic Party needs youth and white people. Really? Didn't y'all say, and y'all had a totally different tune from October. Y'all had a totally different tune from August 13, 2022. And it certainly was a different tone on October 15, 2022, when Joe Reed and Randall Kelly support the fact that they need to get rid of these, caucuses. And now look at this. To survive, the Alabama Democratic Party needs youth and white people. Man, he is a chronic liar. Do not believe what these folks are telling you. This man is want complete and total control of the Alabama Democratic Party. Point blank. And with that, he gets to decide who would serve and who, would not serve. So yeah, so let's talk. Yeah, I want you to listen to this. No, you don't. You definitely do not know what you're doing. And the fact of the matter is that you are a chronic liar. You would say anything and do anything to try to distract from the real issue. I mean, you have done all that you can do, Joe Reed. You need to retire. You need to step aside and let someone else take over. So to say that you know what you're doing, no, sir, you do not know, what you're doing. You never know what you're doing. You're not dealing fair with people. And you're not playing by the rules. So I don't know why you sit up here lying. Which have not happened. Under the leadership of Chris England and former Representative Patricia Todd, there has again been no widespread support of Democratic candidates in the state of Alabama. I'm not even sure what happened to the money that's being raised. There has been no audit, no accountability, and no transparency. And that's why we've been getting a lot of correspondence. Myself and others have been getting correspondence from Democratic candidates saying that, we're not getting any support, for ADP. So even though they got rid of Reed's back leadership, nothing has really changed. And I believe that's where it should be. You guys, they're 16 and over. You've been part of the party for a very long time. And I really believe that y'all need to let go and let the young folks take over. Not happening with this Reed back chairperson, Randall Kelly, and his revitalization of Reed's influence over the party. Probably not going to happen. And so that's why this fight will continue. Yes, what happened in 2022 happened. There was some similar things that happened in 2018 that happened in 2022. Reed's influence over the party has resurfaced again. And so with that, ADP is on life support because we're still dealing with the same old thing over and over again. Nothing has changed. And as long as you have Randall Kelly as the party chair and Reed being an influence over the ADP, things are not only going to remain the same, but they're going to get worse. I'm telling you, y'all need to listen to me. You know, I called it in August, on August 13th, I called it. Prior to that meeting, I called it. And everything that I said came true. But because I'm not such a strong influencer or I'm not well known, y'all not gonna listen to me? Okay. Okay. I mean, you don't have to listen to me, but I guarantee you that if we do not fix, you know, the leadership and the structure of the party and start, start supporting our candidates, the Republicans in the state of Alabama is going to continue to hold power in this state. Not going to happen when that's not going to happen when you have older folks that are in position, including leadership position, that don't even want young people to be there, you know, in the first place. So this quote that he said is not only a total backlash, but it's a lie. It is an absolute lie. You know, but he is right about one thing. But he is right about one thing. What drove people to the polls in Georgia are young people. And that's because Georgia don't have the Democratic Party, don't have the type of problem that the Alabama Democratic Party has. Georgia's Democratic Party is very diverse. They are grassroots oriented. They are considered to be progressive. Not here in Alabama. We are so behind, and even, you know, operations in the Democratic Party that it's going to take many, many more years, you know, to even get a fraction of where Georgia. That's not what you talked about on that interview with WFSA. The NBC affiliate in Montgomery. The only thing you kept talking about was, you know, we need more Black people, you know, in the Democratic Party. You know, Black people need to, you know, build more power in the state. This article is a flat this article is a flat out lie. If you listen to the interview that he did with WFSA, he didn't mention he didn't mention any of this about we need more youth and white people in the Alabama Democratic Party. He didn't mention any of that. Only thing that he mentioned was that African Americans need to establish more power in the state of Alabama in the Democratic Party. And that by doing away with these, caucuses, we will have more influence on who can serve and who cannot serve. So this is a lie. This whole article is a lie, and I would challenge him or anyone else, on this. It is a lie. Don't believe the hype. This is a complete lie. Okay. But there's several more articles I want to point out too. Let's look at this one by by Kyle Witt. Alabama GOP is a joke. Alabama Democrats are the punchline. But if you ask me, Alabama Democratic Party is a joke too. You'll find out why in this. You'll find out why in this article. So we know that the Alabama Republican Party, just like other state Republican parties, are making it difficult for people to vote and have political power. In just about every state in the union. But that's old news. We already know that that's the odds. So we're not going to talk about that. So according to Kyle Whitmire, one of the things that he has a problem with is that Alabama Democratic Party is not holding Republicans accountable. I agree with that, but before you can hold Republicans accountable, y'all need to hold yourselves accountable. It's too much mess going on. It's too much mess going on, within the ADP. That how can you? It's kind of like someone have a speck in their eyes, but you got a boulder on your eyes. That's how it is. ADP wants to be judgmental or hold the Republicans accountable. Y'all not even holding yourselves accountable. Y'all can't even, y'all can't even conduct the business that y'all want to conduct because y'all have a few people, that want to control everything. And despite the articles, despite what you have, heard so far, the elder makeup of the SDC, the Alabama Democratic Party, and the Alabama Democratic Conference basically does not want young people to serve. And you heard the article, you heard the last article, about Joe Reed saying that there needs to be more whites in youth in the ADP. But if you go back to August the 13th and October 14th and 15th, it's something entirely, different. That's why Joe Reed and Randall Kelly and anyone that's associated with those two cannot be trusted. And I definitely agree with this. The Alabama Republican Party might not have any principles, but the Alabama Democratic Party has no polls. I do believe that. I definitely do believe that. and that they are on, which means that they're on life support, just like I keep saying. It goes on to say that it's been over 40 years since the Alabama Democratic Party has lost ground. That's how long the Republicans, have been in power, and that the Democrats in the state of Alabama have done nothing, to challenge it, yet alone hold them accountable. Well, they can't, because they're not holding themselves accountable. As long as you have people like, Reed, and Kelly, the the inner fights that that they have trying to solidify, the organization and structure of the party is going to continue. So basically, you have one Republican. So basically, you have one Republican taking over for another Republican, and nothing has changed. And in that, such as the 2018 election, Democrats have done nothing. They don't recruit valuable candidates. They don't do a good job in raising money. They don't. They have not done a good job in organizing volunteers, uh, campaign-related events, or even support Democratic candidates. But on the flip side of the coin, you have to give the Republican Party some credit. They do that. Alabama Democratic Party does not. They can't even uphold. Listen to this. In 2019, the Democratic National Committee forced the Alabama Democratic Party to adopt new rules that would include more youth and more diversity on the state executive committee. With those new voices, who were backed by then Senator Doug Jones, the party wrestled control from party boss Joe Reed and replaced party chairwoman Nancy Worley with state representative Chris Ingram. And we thought then that there was going to be, so we had a new face, chairperson, but the problem still remained. And with that, in 2020, Republicans still maintain control of the state. No viable candidates, no support for the candidates that that will deem to have served the people. Because with the Alabama Democratic Conference, what they will do is that when you go for a screening, you have to pay them hundreds of dollars to the conference, the Alabama Democratic Conference. And 95% of these candidates don't even get endorsed, but yet you're giving them $300 here, $500 there, $1,000. Why? They're not here to support them. And where is that money going anyway? They're only supporting themselves. So that's the question we have, for the Alabama Democratic Conference. Where is all this money going, to? To recruit people that you want to be elected so that you can control, or you want someone, in these offices that's going to serve the best interests of the people? That's a question that the Alabama Democratic Party needs to ask themselves. Moving on. In August, party boss Joe Reed, who had Worley, regrouped and beat the new kids by their own rules. This time, Reed faction of the party elected Randall Kelly as their new chair. And so Whitmore was wondering, could Kelly be a different sort of leader than Worley has been? I can answer that for you. Absolutely not. Which they haven't even, updated their website. It's been down for a while. Why should Alabamians think Democrats could run a state when they can't even manage a website? My point exactly. Website has been, down for quite a while. Meanwhile, there are candidates running for state offices who have less cash on hand than you probably have in your cushions on your couch. That's not an exaggeration. That is definitely the truth. For example, the party's candidate for governor has less than $50 to spend, according to campaign finance reports. They have no help. They have no help. Democrats in the state have no help. And the Libertarian Party in the state of Alabama is doing a lot better than the Democrats in the state. And just about every seat that is contested in November, you have a Libertarian that is running for that office. That includes Secretary of State, that includes Attorney General. You got 2 Libertarian candidates that are running for governor. You got several Libertarian candidates that are running for state offices, including Alabama Public Service Commission. You also have Libertarians that are running for the State House, Representatives, and the State Senate. Not the Republican, not the Democrats. What's wrong with that picture? Randall Kelly says that he has a plan, but according to Whitmire, there's no reason to believe him just yet. I agree. I definitely agree. It's something that I would not be holding my breath, for to see what this plan actually going to be. Because we're about a week into the 2022 midterm general election, and we have not seen absolutely nothing. So I can't be in all, confidence that Kelly has a plan and that none of the Democratic candidates in the state of Alabama would be supported otherwise. I guess we have to try again in 2024. Let's talk about this. For the purposes of this article, I will not be talking about the Tommy Tuberville controversy. We'll only be covering the state of the Alabama Democratic Party. So Kelly said that Black people and other people of goodwill need to work together to change Alabama. There's only one problem with that. With Reeves' influence over the Democratic Party, again, he gets to choose who, he wants to serve and who and what people that cannot serve. You cannot do that and say that we need more white people and more youth to be a part of the Alabama Democratic Party. That's not happening. So with that type of control, how can you say that you need more diversity in Alabama Democratic Party where you get to choose, whoever you want? And if he does not like you, you're not going to serve anyway. How does that diversity? I'm not sure if other states have a Democratic conference. You know, if they don't, in my opinion, they need to be disbanded. And again, I will not back down from this. I do believe that Joe Reed and Randall Kelly need to be censored and banned. And if I have to go to the Alabama Democratic Conference to do that, I will. Because the two of them and anyone that's associated with them, they are a detrimental to the Alabama Democratic Party. You're talking two ends, two sides out of their mouth. On one end, you're saying that we don't want young people to serve. You know, the other end, you're saying we need more white people and youth to serve. Which one is it? You know, I mean, you heard the articles being read. They're contradicting themselves. And even trying to undo everything that that was worked on in 2018 and everything that was required of them by the DNC. I'm telling you, if they have an opportunity to pass this, we're gonna have a DNC on our backs again. And I'm telling you, it's not gonna be a pretty sight. So, you know, keep doing what y'all doing and do not let these individuals get the best of y'all. Do not allow them to have absolute power. You know, y'all gotta walk out. If there's no quorum, then they cannot do any business. So can the Alabama Democratic Party, you know, be saved? That's a good question. We're gonna discuss. That's a good question. Silence speaks to the problems and issues of the Alabama Democratic Party in a way that's Randy Kelly described it. Well, you got that right. There are definitely problems and there are definitely some issues within the Alabama Democratic Party. But I don't think that, but I think that we would have conflicting views of opinion as to which those problems are. So according to him, one of the first steps is to restore the voice of the party, is to speak out against Republicans. Again, you cannot do that if you're having issues within your own party and that you are not holding people accountable. So you kind of like skipping the cart before the horse. That you cannot focus on, you know, holding Republicans accountable if you're only allowing a few people to be at the table, and that you want to make the decisions for everybody in the Democratic Party. You cannot do that. But on the other hand, if you read the other articles, you know, Reed talks about, you know, we need more white people, we need more youth. But then on the other, you know, other side of the coin, you're trying to get rid of the caucuses that includes young people. You know, that includes the white people that you talk about that needs to be part of the party. So it's a lot of contradiction there. And so you cannot hold the Republicans accountable and you're not holding yourself accountable. So Kelly talks about that we have some house cleaning to do. If that means getting rid of the caucuses and youth and exclude others like Hispanics, Native Americans, is that your idea, you know, of housekeeping? You're not going to basically have just a bunch of old people. And when these old people die, Alabama Democratic Party is going to die with, and maybe that should be the case. With the Democratic Party, the state of Alabama flatline, people like myself will be able to resurrect it from the ground up. And maybe that's what needs to happen. Because right now we're dealing with a lot of situations and issues and problems that cannot be fixed overnight. And as long as we have Reed and Kelly in place, I truly believe that it's not going to be solved. We'll see what else he's talking about. I really don't want to know, anything about Kelly's background. So I'm looking at this article and I think I'm done there. I mean, judging from this article, he really don't have a plan. He's talking about holding Republicans accountable. You cannot do that. And you got issues within your own party. But don't you think Republicans are looking at that? I mean, they're not taking advantage of that. And you try to go after them, and that's the absolute thing that they're going to say. They're going to talk about all the problems that the Democratic Party has. They said that, how are they going to hold us accountable? They can't even hold themselves accountable. They're not unified, blah, 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 blah. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, what kind of plan is that? So that's pretty much it. At this point, I think I'm done here. I think at this point, the state of the Alabama Democratic Party is not looking good. You have a pair of chronic liars. You basically have a political boss that controls what goes on in ADP and who's able to serve in the ADP and the SDEC, the State Democratic Executive Committee. They want to undermine everything that the DNC had put in place that was required by them by law, just so they can control who gets to serve and not, and what this is being conducted and in which direction that the Alabama Democratic Party is concerned. That is not inclusion, that is exclusion. You cannot have a unified Democratic Party with just one set of people, especially corrupt people. And if these problems are not rectified, then we're going to see many more years of Republican leadership in the state of Alabama, because Alabama Democratic Party has way too many problems, virtually no cash, no solidified organizational structure, no unity, and no support for its candidate. The only bright side to the Alabama Democratic Party is that the 67 county Democratic executive committees are basically the ones that are doing the work. But the centralized party is dysfunctional, because you have two people in the form of Joe Reed and Randall Kelly that specialize in keeping up mess and specializes in exclusion, behind contradiction. And if he does not like you, then you are a target of intimidation, bullying, and perhaps embarrassment. This is not how a party should operate. And if these things are not fixed, then the Alabama Democratic Party is going to flatline itself. What I see is a party being destroyed from the inside out. And again, maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe the Alabama Democratic Party needs to die in order for a new generation of Democrats to emerge and resurrect the party. You ever heard God told Ezekiel, can these dry bones live? Can the wall be rebuilt? These are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. That's just my opinion. What's yours? Thank you for tuning in.